Have your bags been in your possession the whole time? No. Usually the night before I travel, just as the moon is rising, I place my suitcases out on the street corner and leave them there unattended for several hours. Just for good luck. Next question. Has any unknown person asked you to take anything on board? Well, what exactly is an unknown person? Surely everyone is known to someone. In fact, just this morning, Kareem and Youssef Ali Ben Gaba seemed to know each other quite well. They kept joking about which one of my suitcases was the heaviest. And that's another thing they don't like at the airport, jokes. You know? Yeah, you can't joke about a bomb. Well, why is it just jokes? What about a riddle? How about a limerick? How about a bomb anecdote? You know, no punchline, just a really cute story. Or suppose you intended the remark, not as a joke, but as an ironic musing. Are they prepared to make that distinction? Why, I think not. And besides, who's to say what's funny? Airport security is a stupid idea, it's a waste of money, and it's only there for one reason, to make white people feel safe. That's all. The illusion. The feeling and illusion of safety. Because the authorities know they can't make an airplane completely safe. Too many people have access. You'll notice the drug smugglers don't seem to have a lot of trouble getting their little packages on board, do they? No, and God bless them too.
Well, so much for that. Oh, well, you could say that joke bombed in a good way.
Kind of blew up in their face. His face? Their face? Everyone's face?
Well, anyway, glad to be back from vacation. Ugh, I think I wrecked myself. Good morning, evening, or afternoon, depending on what part of the globe you are on and what time zone you are in. I am your host, Skeptically Speaking.
And I'm Sweet Pea from across the pond.
Hello, and you found us on YouTube. But did you also know that you could find us on TikTok, Blue Sky, Discord, Instagram, Threads, Facebook, Kick, Rumble, Twitch, Twitter, and Substack? You can, if you try. So try. Try very hard. How are you doing, Sweet Pea?
I'm okay. I've still got the flu, but otherwise I'm okay. How are you doing? Did
You need to
survive?
stop with that.
I know.
No more flu business.
I wish it was that simple.
Enough. No more. Not a muss. Well, I'm trying something new. Sprecher's orange cream soda
Oh,
with Evan Williams, honey Kentucky straight bourbon.
that sounds like that
Blended
might
with
taste
honey
nice.
liqueur. Yeah, I'm probably going to regret this decision. Bottoms up.
Cheers. I think that's going to taste nice.
I mean,
I think you're going to like that.
it doesn't taste horrid. I can say this, the orange flavoring definitely canceled out. But it does add, yeah. Ooh, that goes down a little too good.
I was going to say, you're drinking that like pop.
Ooh, this is going to be the worst show, I have a feeling. The worst of the worst fled to Brazil. Did you know that?
Mm-hmm.
You know, the Nazis weren't the first ones to flee to South America.
Yeah, they didn't they also flee to is it Argentina as well as Brazil?
Well, they were all over, but
Mostly to Brazil though.
you're talking about the Nazis, right?
Yeah.
Argentina seems to get the majority of the story.
Yeah.
They had, some went to Brazil, but I think a lot of them tended to gravitate towards Argentina.
Yeah. I did I did watch a documentary. I took it with a pinch of salt that reckons that Mustache Man retired to Argentina.
No.
A grain of salt, like I said, a grain of salt.
I mean, I have heard conspiracy theories like that where they pulled off an elaborate ruse and the person that was actually found in the bunker was a double doppelganger.
Like, if like that is somewhat true, and like he is still like living, he needs to be tried for crimes against humanity like 10 times over.
Well, I think the conspiracy theory is he died in Argentina. Like, they say he died in 1960.
Okay.
You know, because there is a gravestone with his name on there. But I think that was just to muddy the waters.
Okay. Well, as you could tell, I didn't watch the film all the way through. I got to the bit where it said he escaped to Argentina, and I was like, fuck off with this shit. And I turned it off. I was like, no, not watching.
Yeah,
this.
there's a lot of disinformation.
Yeah,
floating around out there.
Definitely is.
Yeah, so we're going to be talking about these nasty sons of bitches, and they were allowed to not only thrive, they carried on their tradition. Because, as you know, slavery in Brazil lasted a little bit longer than it did here in the States. You know, people say, oh, the Civil War was God's judgment for slavery. And it's like, well, yeah, but so many other countries had slavery. It was just as horrific, and they didn't have a civil war. In fact, they didn't even have a huge upheaval economically. So, and Brazil being one of the worst offenders, they didn't have any civil war. They seem to do just fine. Anyway, we got lots of stories. I mean, we got stories out of the wazoo. I mean, my goodness. We've got Ice Barbie, dog killer, ends up in a tiff with her staff. I guess her staff thinks she's a shitty boss. Who knew? People are dead set of getting Sydney Sweeney's, I don't know, career on the upward trend. I mean, they're doing everything. They're pulling out all the stops. James Gunn is even considering her for Supergirl in an upcoming franchise.
Why? They're just going to ruin Supergirl. I'm sorry, but I don't think she's that great of an actress, and I think they can put someone who is more talented to play Superwoman, who is going to give that character the justice that she deserves. I'm sorry, I don't think Sweeney cuts it. I really don't. I'm sorry. I'm not a fan, to be honest.
I mean, talk about white privilege. I mean, you are given every break you can get after flop, and just being a terrible person. People just see, I don't know, we've got a huge problem in this country where white men and white women are just given huge latitude, huge. It's just, I'm like, unbelievable. Can we just stop with Sydney Sweeney? Can we just let her go and just be a C-list actress or D-lister? I'm not going to spend 20 minutes talking about her. But yeah, I mean, she's had flop after flop, and she's just a disaster personally. And she doesn't give a shit. She seems to be just fine with, disaster. I mean, nothing has happened to her to where she stops and reflects. Nothing. And she's coming out with another movie called Housemaid. I mean, she's just, I'm sorry, I just don't care how engaging the material is. I'm not going to put myself through that. I don't care who she's starring with. We just need to stop. And maybe Hollywood will get the clue that, you know what, I don't care if she's MAGA darling. We do not want her. That's it. We've got also GOP structural warning in Tennessee. There's going to be special elections in Tennessee, and they're already kind of sounding panicky. We can talk about that. We've got MAGA influencers who are just trying to outgross each other, you know, to prove that they're loyal to Trump. We've got a bar who was offering drinks to customers, free drinks to customers, helping ICE. And then he receives backlash and he's complaining about it. It's like, fuck you, buddy.
I actually have like two of my favorite actresses that I know that could play Superwoman well. One of them already played Catwoman.
Okay.
But I do think Halle Berry would make a good Superwoman. And if not Halle Berry, then maybe Kerry Washington.
Yeah, maybe Kelly Washington. I could see that, because what they're doing is they're thinking long term. If they're going to be in this role, it's going to be for the next 10 years.
Oh,
Halle Berry being Supergirl, you know, if it was a one-off, oh sure, but it's going to be franchised, so there's going to be like multiple. So I don't know if she
Washington, would. Then.
Yeah, Kerry Washington. I think that would be a better choice.
Yeah. Oh well, I've got so many favorite actresses, but those are the only two that I can think of at the moment. I'm so terrible with names.
That's okay. So you've got this idiot who owns a saloon or a bar, and he says anyone who helps ICE identify and ultimately deport an illegal from Idaho gets free beer for 1 month. Like, what the fuck? I mean, that is the worst idea since unlimited shrimp from Red Lobster? I think it's Red Lobster.
Mm-hmm. It's also as bad as the MAGA crybaby snowflake, Trump licking us fuckwits, buying Bud Light Nikes and then burning or shooting them, even though they've already paid for it. It's as bad as that.
Well, I mean, I think this is a little bit worse. I mean, because first of all, they're not just deporting people who are illegally here. They're deporting people who are citizens, naturalized citizens. They're not sparing anybody. And now they're looking at Dearborn, Michigan, Muslim, the Muslim. How would you call it? Not the utopia, but the epicenter. Dearborn, Michigan goes back to the 1930s, 1920s and 30s when Henry Ford was shipping in cheap labor from multiple Muslim countries. And that's why you've got several generations of Muslims here in Dearborn, Michigan. And a lot of these Muslim Americans, they are Americans. They are citizens. They go back 2-3 generations. Henry Ford offered them green cards. Well, they weren't called green cards back then, but offered them citizenship as long as they continued to work in his factories. He would pay their way. He would see that they got set up in housing. Probably wasn't the best housing, knowing Henry Ford, cheap ass motherfucker, and a Nazi. Yeah, there's a picture of Henry Ford shaking hands with the high command of, Nazi Germany. And Hitler had a picture of Henry Ford in his office and was proud. Henry Ford was a raving anti-Semite. And he helped spread disinformation via his cars. You probably wonder, how in the world would you do that? So he spread a forgery. It was called the Protocols of the Elders of Zion, which was a fake document that showed Israel or Jews trying to overthrow and take over the world. I guess it's been so long since I've read that steaming pile of shit. It was debunked literally the decade that it came out. And Henry Ford didn't matter. He didn't care. He put it in every glove box of every Ford vehicle he sold. Everyone got a free copy of the Protocols of the Learned Elders of Zion. It was a forgery. It was a piece of shit. And Henry Ford was okay with that.
That's disgusting.
Yep. So imagine 10, 15 years of that, and then you get to World War II. Anti-Semitism is at an all-time high here in this country.
Mm.
Next thing you know, the final solution is in full gear, and nobody wants to let Jews into the country. Yeah. By the way, this is the same asshole. So going back to this bar, we'll talk about it in a little bit, but yeah, he's a fucking piece of work. You know what? We're going to make some time to help make him famous. We might talk about the what's happening in the special elections in Tennessee coming up. That's going to be a very important election coming up. So, let's go ahead and get to the bar. This is from the Daily Beast. Bar offering free drinks to customers helping ICE complains about backlash. Oh, poor you. A pro-MAGA bar promising free drinks to anyone who offers information leading to the deportation of an illegal migrant was flooded with abuse and bad reviews after the Department of Homeland Security amplified its offer. On Saturday, the Old State Saloon in Eagle, Idaho, owned by heterosexual supremacist Mark Fitzpatrick, posted on X, free beer for 1 month to anyone who helps ICE identify and ultimately deport an illegal from Idaho. Well, see, it doesn't...
I have a tip for them.
Yeah, go ahead.
I have a tip for them. Psst. ICE, if you're listening, you want to look into Melania Trump. She forged her sort of visa. So if you could kindly look into her and deport her, we would be grateful.
Yeah, that would be great. Although I'll one-up you. And I think you'll have, I might have better success at this one. Elon Musk.
Yes.
Here's why I say Elon Musk. There are already rumblings of canceling his temporary visa status, whatever, his green card here in the U.S. There's already rumblings that people are already talking. Now, it may not even happen, but the fact that they're talking about it says a lot. And you get free beer for 1 month. Yikes.
I don't want the beer. They can shove their free beer up their racist asses. I just want to get the wrong people out of the country so the right people can correct what they've fucked up.
I wouldn't want to be in his place anyway. Who wants to be in a place where some asshole calls himself heterosexual supremacist? How fucking stupid. Heterosexual supremacist?
That sounds like a new type of STD.
Yeah, he's the guy that you cover your drink when he's around. Around
Yeah,
4 hours
he
later,
is.
DHS reposted the offer to its 2.5 million followers, helping the post, which at the time of publication had been viewed 5.7 million times, and it's gone viral since then. I mean, even more viral. This led to publicly stunt to backfire as the bar began receiving hundreds of negative alongside some positive online reviews, emails, and calls from angry opponents whom the bar's social media account branded the loser left. The bar also complained that Instagram and Facebook had removed the posts along with other unrelated posts. Oh, but you still have Rumble. You can still post on Rumble. Whatever happened to Truth Central, as Donald Trump likes to call it? Despite Fitzgerald declaring that he supports free speech, the Old State Saloon social media account revealed Sunday night that Google has erased hundreds of reviews, both good and bad, adding, "We appreciate all the good reviews, fellow patriots." At the time of publication, the Old State Saloon had 4.5 Google review rating. It is not known whether the bar filed a complaint with Google, which they probably did. At least one Old State Saloon customer has already taken the bar up on its offer. Ryan Spoon, vice chair of the Ada County Republican Central Committee in Idaho, was granted free beer from any of its 20 taps after he submitted proof that he assisted ICE in making an arrest. Well, okay. Ryan Spoon, the chair at the Ada County Republican Central Committee. Well, now we know you're a piece of shit. Thank you for putting yourself out there. So now we know who to avoid. On social media, Old State Saloon leans into its culture war branding, boasting in its bio that liberals around the world hate us, and dubbing itself as the birthplace of heterosexual awesomeness month.
What the fuck, what?
Yeah. Yeah. You heard that. You heard it right. I didn't stutter. Heterosexual awesomeness month. And here he is posing with a firearm. Like, fuck off, dude. Fitzpatrick launched the Heterosexual Awesomeness Month promotion, which was criticized in the media in June 2024 as a response to Pride Month, advertising discounts and complimentary drinks to straight men, women, and couples. Wow. So gay men and women could just go in there and pretend that they're lavender, like they're a lavender couple, and get free drinks. Wow. How would you prove? Again, this reminds me of that stupid restaurant, Greasy Spoon, what the fuck, in Bumblefuck, Mississippi, who was trying to do the same thing. Remember that? We covered it here on the show. I want to say maybe earlier in the year. We played a video of them, and just the way they looked, I mean, it was just like, yikes. I would not want you serving me food. I would not want to eat anything at your, whatever you call it. I wonder how they're doing now.
Do you know, these people piss me off so deeply. Deeply. Like, why do they need a straight pride for? Why do they need a heterosexual celebratory?
Yeah, since when has heterosexual...
Nothing discriminatory ever happened to them. They are not discriminated against.
When have they ever been targeted, right?
Mm-hmm.
It's like they want to be the center of attention so bad.
Yeah. Like, the whole point of Pride is because us in the LGBTQ plus community are constantly being targeted. Constantly, you know? Yeah.
Their staff, who are armed for customer safety, also serve MAGA-themed cocktails, including the Margarita, Trump's survival shot, and Biden's last fall mudslide. The Old State Saloon also sells a range of merchandise through its online store, including t-shirts emblazoned with the phrase, "Make America Straight Again." I'm sorry, was America always straight?
I'm sorry. Like, what the fuck?
Wait until they hear about Broadway. Wait until they hear about Hollywood. Wait until they hear about the fashion industry.
Mm-hmm. And isn't it straight people that give birth to us in the LGBT community in the first place?
I mean,
these people are fucking ridiculously stupid.
Yeah, they're very completely unserious. It's like, dude, why are we even entertaining your ass?
Do you know, if it wasn't supposed to be, explain gay penguins, explain other sort of same-sex animals if it's not natural, as they sort of say.
Well, see, they want to go back to a time when it was illegal to be gay and you could be publicly hunted for being who you were. That's where they want to go. They know
people have always been around.
Oh yeah, and they want to go back to a time when where they could publicly demonize these people and attack them in public. This has been their goal.
And they're probably the same people.
Yeah.
And these are probably the same people that have sexual relations with gay and trans people behind closed doors.
Yeah. Yeah, and it's always the loudest voices who you find out are closet cases.
Mm-hmm.
And with that being said, we'll take a short break, and we'll be right back after these messages.
A rapist rights group just gave a talk at a Scottish university. Yeah, you heard that right, a rapist rights group. On the 28th of October, the group Justice for Innocent Men Scotland gave a talk at Abertay University about how convicted rapists are actually innocent and jailing them is part of a feminist conspiracy plot. Now, this group was founded by the families and partners of convicted rapists. This includes men who have raped multiple people, who have raped children. But this group claims that survivors, they're just liars, and in some cases, even government spies. They claim that these men aren't rapists, they're actually the real victims because, according to them, men are being targeted and sent to prison in order to break down the family unit and decrease birth rates. And whilst they claim to be fighting for a fair trial, that isn't what they do. They harass survivors online, they publish their identities, personal details and medical records, and even go to court to intimidate witnesses. This is an incredibly dangerous group that propagates rape culture myths, that protects rapists, and that actively cultivates an environment where men can commit sexual offences unimpeded, where rape and sexual assault are de facto legal. And if you're wondering, how on earth was this allowed to happen? Well, it was organised by one of the university's professors, Stuart Waiton. Now, this is a man who has argued that the justice system has been influenced by victim feminism. He's also argued against legislation criminalising the physical abuse of children and has shared far-right, racist and misogynistic content online. So, in my opinion, it's not unreasonable to think that he approves or endorses the conduct and views of this group. Otherwise, why would he go out of his way to host them? And let's remember, this man is a university professor. And of course, everybody has a right to be safe, but it's important to recognise that this man is working in an institution where he has great power and authority over and access to vulnerable individuals, young people, teenagers. A man with those views in a position like that should not only terrify you, but make clear to you how these sorts of people are everywhere, not just in dark basements cornered off from society, everywhere, even at the universities where you or your children are studying. And nothing is done about it. And before you say, he's just a bad apple, Not only is that not true, he's definitely not the only one, because universities and society at large doesn't care enough about sexual violence and survivors to do anything about men like these and make sure women are safe. But there are people, other people, that would have given this a green light. So it's not just him, it's the enablers around him. And that's the problem. These groups and these views are being enabled by the masses. They are being protected. They are being platformed. And that's why male sexual violence against women is so widespread, because hardly anybody is taking a stand when it matters. And lastly, to the people who agree with the claims that this group is making, over 98% of rapists don't go to prison. Over 98%. 1 in 4 women have been raped or sexually assaulted since the age of 16. And now a rapist rights group has just been hosted to speak at a university. Does that sound like a society that is going on a rampage against men? Does that sound like a society where men are the innocent victims of a feminist conspiracy? Does that sound like a society where women secretly hold all the power and are using it to ruin men's lives? Or is it possible that these are lies you've been told by people who want to protect rapists?
Wow. A rapist rights activist group. What is this world coming to? What in the goddamn fuck? This is what happens when you have a permissive society that does not deal with violence against women in any capacity. This is what happens when you have a permissive society which allows men to skate free. This is why you have these things. This is what happens when you make excuses for shitty men and their shitty behavior. I mean, we can talk about Gregor O'Connor, the UFC former champion. Did I say his name right? No. Or is it McGregor?
Conor McGregor.
Conor McGregor?
Yeah, Conor McGregor.
Well, you know what? He's not important.
I was thinking that.
He's not, you know what? He's not important enough to even get his name right. Fuck him. This guy literally raped a woman so badly she had to have stitches due to her tampon being, literally being rammed up her canal.
Yeah.
This is the vileness. And this guy is walking free. And you know what? I do have pictures, some of the posts he's made, because he's recently found Jesus.
I used to like Conor McGregor until this happened. And now, to be honest, he is no better than Andrew Tate.
Yeah. I mean, the fact that this guy is walking around free to post tells me we are not a serious, we are not a serious society. We are not a society that values women. We are not a society that, you know what? The birth rates are plummeting and they need to plummet even further.
Do you know, this is why most of us who have been through a trauma of that caliber don't come forward. Why would we subjugate and put ourselves through not being believed, not having anything happen, to go through all these questions, only then for the person that has done the most mental and physical harm to be walking free anyway?
Right. Yeah. And, the
system is fucked.
Yeah.
The justice system is fucked. This world is fucked.
98% of rapists do not go to prison. They don't get incarcerated, and there's not even a record. So that tells me we're not treating this with the gravitas that it deserves, the seriousness with which it deserves. You know, when rape kits sit on a shelf forever and a day, and they're never touched, they're never tested, they're never processed, what message are we sending? We're to the rapists. We're saying, you know what? Yeah, we don't personally like it, but it happens. But speaking of not being serious about shitty men, the Confederates ran to Brazil after the Confederacy fell, and here we fucking go. This is from the U.S. Sun, and we're going to go into the History Channel. We've got WikiLeaks. We got the Wikipedia queued up. We've got a few other articles. We may not get to them. How a Brazilian town became the last holdout of the American Confederacy, and why it's finally being defeated after 160 years. So some of the videos, or some of the pictures that you see on the background are posted, but apparently there's a whole tradition that has been kept alive. Despite the American Civil War ending nearly 160 years ago, there was still one place in the world where Confederate South was seemingly alive and well. Welcome to the town of Santa Barbara d'Oeste, where the descendants of some 20,000 fleeing American soldiers live. So you got people that live in Brazil posing, wearing these stupid fucking Nazi Confederate memorabilia, and they're all okay with it. People in traditional outfits hold hands between dances at the annual Festa Confederada, or Confederate Party. The festival is put on by Brazilian descendants of families who fled from southern United States in Brazil. Performers walk in traditional outfits during the festivities, cosplaying like they want to go back to the 1800s. People dressed in traditional outfits take a bow after dancing at the end. Fuck them. Still flying the Confederate Nazi flag, infamous blue cross on a red background with white stars. For well over a century, the bloody Civil War cast a long shadow here in South America. For years, those who lived here embraced their history and their association with the so-called Confederados, Southerners who fled the U.S. as the country was rebuilt after victory by the Union. Descendants of the defeated soldiers who fled formed a fraternity of American descendants, the FDA. Not to be confused with the Food and Drug Administration. And for years, held an annual festival dubbed the Festa Confederada, celebrating the culture of their heritage, such as music, food and dance, and slavery and dehumanization. That was not part of the article, but I just added it. Organizers always insisted the events were not connected with the political association with the Confederate flag, which is often linked with racist rhetoric and is banned in some parts of the United States. Yeah. Yep. Well, now, for 2025, they've decided to finally cut loose the last association with their past. Instead, renaming the festival the Festa dos Americanos. The Party of the Americans. The Confederate flag in town will now be painted over, such as the symbol emblazoned on an obelisk in the town center, featuring the family names of Southern soldiers. FDA chiefs insist the party will now be focused on celebrating American immigration as a whole, not just their past link to the Civil War. Yeah, okay. Nice try. Yeah, I don't buy it. We want to work on reconciliation, pacification, and join forces against those who are truly racists. Your entire fraternity is racist to the fucking hilt. Quote, the institution, feeling that it created discomfort for the city and for the black people, decided to rethink its position. Supporters of the Confederate flag often insist the flag is merely a representation of pride in the American South, often being associated with country music and the TV show The Dukes of Hazzard. But critics have said it's a potent symbol of slavery and white supremacy, with the flag sometimes being featured as neo-Nazi events alongside swastikas and other hate-filled symbols. Well, yeah. They go hand in hand. In fact, the Nazis literally benchmarked their ideology in how to deal with Jews based on how the Confederate South dealt with black people. They literally looked over their shoulders and copied the test. And you have Donald Trump, who's previously defended the flag and criticized efforts to remove Confederate war monuments. I really don't care. Yeah, here's a painting of a slave market in Brazil when the Confederates arrived. So basically, they carried on being slave owners in Brazil. So, yeah. So anyway, moving on. The war ended. The Union added the 13th, 14th, and 15th Amendments. These amendments abolished slavery. Unbelievable volumes of economic damage, along with ruined infrastructure, struck the South and its soldiers after the war. Blah blah blah. Yeah, I'm not interested in why they think the Civil War started. Let's see. Former Confederate officials. Massive popular destinations were Honduras, Mexico, and Egypt, where former Confederate officials were invited to do military commissions. Really? Mexico and Honduras offered Confederate soldiers or officers commissions. Yikes. So the same year that the Civil War ended, Brazil was ruled by Dom Pedro II, who was a descendant of the Portuguese royal family. Interesting. He was heavily wanting to attract foreigners into the country and even offered safe harbor to Confederate ships throughout the war. Despite his personal opposition to slavery, he didn't seem to mind bringing slave-holding Confederates to Brazil. Yeah, tell me about it. Monarch Dom Pedro offered transportation to Brazil and even land available for as little as 22 cents per acre. Thousands of Southerners saw this as an opportunity for a new life, selling off their possessions and began to make their way to Brazil. So you've got, I'm not going to read the list of names. Father, son, don't give a shit. Go fuck yourself. More pictures of dancing and dances and blah, blah, blah. Meanwhile, back in the U.S., the country was attempting to make reparations from the horrors of the Civil War, but the unreformed Confederados continued to attempt to preserve what life Confederates had back home. Practicing Protestant Christianity, they didn't eat any Brazilian cuisine and instead cooked Southern food, all while speaking English. I mean, look at the assness of these people. Dead ass. They wouldn't assimilate. You know what's amazing? The very same people that claim that foreigners who come to this country better speak English and you better assimilate and this and that. When they go abroad, they don't do shit to assimilate or even learn about the local customs or the culture or anything. Isn't it amazing? It's always a one-way street. It's the same attitude. So the success of the... Go ahead.
So, when the colonizers invaded America, did they acclimatize and speak the native language of the natives who currently occupied America? Because I'm pretty sure they didn't. I'm pretty sure they done and imposed the English language upon people that they had no business speaking.
I mean, trappers and people that traded with the Indians, yes, they would learn how to speak multiple native dialects and even sign language. They even had their own form of sign language.
Mm-hmm. It's a bit...
But as a whole, no.
No, it's a bit like them enforcing the colonizer god on them to believe in.
Mm-hmm.
Sorry to interrupt. Anyway,
no, you're fine. The last thing they wanted to do was blend in with the local population and defeat the point of their massive relocation. They did not want to blend in because they didn't want to lose their white supremacy and lose their very identity. Isn't that amazing? And yet, when people from Brazil and South America do the same thing, they keep their culture when they come to the United States. Oh, suddenly they have a problem. The success of the Southerners sat on their success in purchasing and controlling slaves to successfully resurrect the plantation agricultural system. But the Confederates didn't succeed in their so-called task, as they spoke very little Portuguese, partnered with little funds and no actual connection to Brazil except living there. Their plan fell flat. Well, of course. I mean, my God, they didn't even try. This proves how dumb they are. They could not exist without somebody holding out a hand to help them. This is how pathetic these people were. They would not assimilate, they would not build connections, and they wanted to preserve their way of life by isolating themselves, so of course they fell flat. And they're being celebrated to this day. Failure after failure after failure. So this marked the beginning of the end of the Confederados, with financial failure or death via disease among heads of colonies diminishing the number of followers. But back in the U.S. in 1877, federal troops were withdrawn from southern states, which in turn removed massive levels of protection for black people. Soon the infamous Jim Crow laws began, all while southern politicians regained their power. This meant Confederados had no reason to live abroad anymore and could return to the U.S. with the restoration of racist supremacy in the South. It is unknown how many Southerners returned back to the U.S., but in Brazil, many settlements disbanded, but some stayed in hopes of protecting their heritage. What the fuck are they even celebrating? You failed. You couldn't cut it in your own country, and you definitely couldn't cut it even though you were given a free ride. You were literally given land for cheap, and you stagnated. Many descendants claim Brazil would have stagnated if the Southerners hadn't come over and resettled. Oh, bullshit. Bullshit. If that were true, why is it that they fizzled out so fast? Why is it that those that came to Brazil suddenly wanted to go back? And their heritage, they fell apart. They lost twice. While there isn't enough evidence to prove this is to be the case, of course, because there is no proof. It is known that the settlers helped to speed up the use of technologies and innovations like metal tip plow and railroads. Okay. Brazil was soon experiencing an influx of people from Germany, Japan, and Italy, who each brought their own contributions in leaving more of a lasting impression on Brazil. Yes, I would sooner I would sooner put the onus of modernization on the other groups of people. I don't see the Confederates bringing much to the table. Nowadays, Confederados are low in numbers and their descendants speak Portuguese and identify as Brazilian, but they still gather each year to celebrate their history. Celebrate their what? Their failure? We failed not only in our country, but we failed here as well. Woo! I'm sorry, what is there to celebrate again? Oh, we're the worst of the worst. Let's celebrate that. Confederacy made its last stand in Brazil, according to the History Channel. Ugh. By the time the Civil War ended, much of the South lay in ruins, physically, economically, and socially. Fears of Yankee reprisals and racial conflict percolated throughout society. Enslaved people had been freed. Confederate President Jefferson Davis was in prison. For William H. Norris, a former Alabama state senator and staunch Confederate, it was all too much to bear. Rather than rejoin the United States, he and a son traveled to southeastern Brazil in late 1965 and purchased about 500 acres of rolling hills, reddish soil that reminded them of Alabama. They then bought 3 enslaved workers, planted cotton, and sent for the rest of the family and proceeded to live as if the Confederacy hadn't just collapsed. Living in a daydream, living in a fever dream, living in delusion. That's how they did it. The Norris family was not alone in their desire to avoid of Yankee rule. In the decade after the Civil War, roughly 10,000 Southerners left the United States, with the majority going to Brazil, where slavery was still legal. Others went to places like Cuba, Mexico, Venezuela, Honduras, Canada, and Egypt. Egypt. Wow. It's just kind of seems random, doesn't it? Amid the post-Civil War chaos, several countries tried to entice Southerners, largely for political and agricultural reasons. In Mexico, for example, Emperor Maximilian I, soon to be executed before a firing squad, awarded land and tax breaks to hired Confederate oceanographer Matthew Fontaine Maury to be his imperial commissioner of immigration. In Venezuela, the authorities also provided land and tax breaks. And in Egypt, an Ottoman viceroy brought over ex-Confederate and ex-Union officers to help invade Ethiopia. Holy shit. That's why. Yeah. So let's go. Much of the Southern media opposed the Exodus, as did Robert E. Lee, who believed all efforts should go toward rebuilding the South. But Dom Pedro counterattacked by taking out advertisements in U.S. newspapers. Meanwhile, certain pro-colonization Southerners produced glowing reports that portrayed Brazil as a tropical paradise. Of course, when they got there, it was nothing like what they thought it would be. Again, delusional to the hilt. Let's see. Cyrus B. Sonny Dawsey, a professor emeritus at Auburn University, who co-authored and edited the book The Confederados, Old South Immigrants in Brazil. Dom Pedro seemingly had 2 main motives for luring the Confederates, the first of which was agricultural. He saw these people as bringing new technologies and new abilities in farming to Brazil, which in fact they did. Dawsey says, pointing out that they introduced watermelons, pecans into the new country, along with state-of-the-art plows. And a lot of these innovations were done by black people. They literally took inventions and, you know how they used to make fun of black people in Watermelon.
Yeah, which is completely racist and disgusting. It's like what
And
they
you
do with
wonder
fried
why.
chicken as well. And it's just like, the fuck is wrong with you? Like, everybody eats watermelon. Everyone eats fried chicken. Like, why are you stereotyping people just for eating foods that everyone literally fucking eats? Like, what is wrong with you?
So it was Brazil's policy to whiten society by bringing in Europeans and European descended Americans. Gross. At the time, slavery remained legal in Brazil, which over the course of its history imported more than 10 times as many enslaved people as the United States. In fact, it did not ban the practice until 1888, becoming the last country in the Western Hemisphere to do so. In 1865, Brazil barely even had an abolitionist movement. Her research shows that some Southern immigrants to Brazil took enslaved African Americans with them in disregard of U.S. and Brazilian law. Others brought new enslaved people upon arrival, such as former Alabama State Representative Charles G. Gunter, whose family letters tell of his acquisition of 38 enslaved workers in Brazil. The letters also mention another Confederado who acquired a sugar plantation with 130 enslaved workers. Defendants of the original Confederados tend to play down their ancestors' ties to slavery, because of course they do. Of course they do. According to Brito, the Confederados were largely attracted to Brazil both because they wanted to own enslaved people and because they believed the institution of slavery would maintain strict racial hierarchies. Based on the documentaries that I read, I have no doubt that they came to Brazil because of slavery. Yeah. Yeah, that's exactly why. And that's why they formed the Confederacy. It was all about states' rights. States' rights to do what? Mm-hmm.
Do you want to know who eats the most chicken?
Go ahead.
Israel.
Oh.
United States. And Malaysia.
Okay. Well, I would love to go on and on forever and a day, but we don't have the time. There are multiple articles that we're going to link to, and we'll put them down in the description. If you want more independent media in your life, please consider becoming a Skeptically Speaking fan. Please consider supporting the show. You can do it via Cash App, Venmo, or become a Patreon subscriber. We'd love to have your patronage. We'd love to be part of your independent media diet, if you will.
Please like, comment, subscribe. We love reading your comments on YouTube. And hopefully I will be a little bit more compos mentis and more conversational tomorrow.
We'll see.
Wake up, grab a brush and put a little makeup. Hide the scars to fade away. Why'd you leave the keys up on the table? Here you go, create another fable. You wanted to grab a brush and put a little makeup. You wanted to hide the scars to fade away the shake up. You wanted to. Why'd you leave the keys up on the table? You wanted to. I don't think you tried.